So, uh, you know how they say money can't buy happiness?
Hmm.
Well, apparently it also doesn't buy you like a drama-free life,
Yeah.
at least not in the world of tech.
Huh.
Yeah, the White House just announced this huge project. It's called Stargate,
Okay.
and it's basically like a $500 billion initiative to, boost U.S. AI development.
Wow. That's that's a lot of money.
Right. And they've got some serious players involved. OpenAI, Oracle, uh, a list goes on. But here's where things get juicy. Elon Musk, he's publicly trashing the whole thing.
Really? Why?
Well, he basically says they don't have the money. Like, the companies involved can't actually afford it. He's specifically calling out SoftBank, saying their finances are shaky.
That's interesting considering SoftBank is known for, making massive investments in tech.
I know, right? It's kind of like, imagine you're splitting a pizza with your friends, and one guy's like, nah, you guys are all broke. I'll just pay for the whole thing. But he's, like, just maxed out his credit card on a new car.
Huh. Yeah. So what's the real story here?
Well, to understand that, we kind of got to zoom out a bit.
Hmm.
See, Stargate is about more than just, like, building cool AI stuff. It's about the U.S. staying ahead in the global AI race.
Ah, right. The whole US versus China competition. That definitely adds another layer to it.
Exactly. It's like a high-stakes poker game. But
Yeah.
instead of chips, they're playing with, the future of technology.
And potentially the future of, well, everything. Because we're not just talking about any AI here. We're talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence.
AGI. That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
In a way, it is. Think like AI that can learn and problem solve, not just in specific areas, but across a wide range of tasks, just like humans do.
Okay, now I'm both intrigued and slightly terrified.
It is a pretty big deal, and the fact that this project aims for AGI makes the stakes even higher.
So you're telling me they're trying to create, like, super intelligent AI that could potentially, I don't know, write the next great American novel?
Maybe not a novel, but the potential applications are pretty mind-boggling.
Wow, okay. So we've got this massive project aiming for this next-level AI and a whole lot of money involved. But it's not a government-funded project. It's private companies putting up the cash.
Right, which makes Musk's "they don't have the money" argument even more interesting. I mean, these are some of the biggest tech companies in the world.
Yeah, you'd think they'd have a few billion lying around. So what's Musk's deal? Why is he so against it?
Well, you can't talk about this without mentioning the, let's say, complicated relationship between Musk and Sam Altman.
Oh, right. Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. And Musk co-founded OpenAI, but then things got a little messy.
Yeah, to say the least. Musk actually has a lawsuit against OpenAI now. He claims they've gone off track from their original mission.
And they've been publicly throwing shade at each other on social media, which, let's be honest, is always entertaining for the rest of us.
Definitely adds to the drama. But it also raises questions about the motivations behind Musk's criticism of Stargate.
Right, like, is he genuinely concerned about the project, or is it more about his personal feelings toward Altman?
That's what some people are saying. In fact, Trump even weighed in, suggesting that Musk's just being, well, Musk.
Of course he did. So we've got this international AI race, a ridiculous amount of money, and some good old-fashioned Silicon Valley drama. Kind of like a reality show, but with, the future of humanity hanging in the balance.
That's one way to put it.
So where do we go from here? I mean, is the Stargate project actually going to work? Can they really pull off this AGI thing?
That's the million-dollar question, or should I say the half-a-trillion-dollar question. But before we try to answer that, maybe we should dig a little deeper into what AGI actually is and why everyone's making such a fuss about it. Well, AGI, it's kind of the holy grail of AI research, right? It's about creating AI that can do pretty much anything a human can do, and probably even better.
So, like, are we talking robots taking over the world kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Should I be stocking up on canned goods and learning how to fight off a robot uprising?
Haha. Not necessarily. It's more about the potential to revolutionize, well, pretty much every aspect of our lives.
Okay, but how? Give me some examples.
Sure, think about healthcare. AGI could lead to personalized medicine, AI-powered diagnostic tools, maybe even robotic surgeons that are more precise than human hands.
Whoa, okay. Robot surgeons. Now that's pretty sci-fi. But what about, like, jobs? I mean, if robots can do everything, what's left for us humans to do?
That's a valid concern. And yes, some jobs will likely be automated, but it's not just about job losses. It's also about job creation. We'll need people to design, build, and manage these AI systems, plus all the new industries and opportunities AGI will create.
So it's not necessarily humans versus robots, but more like humans working alongside robots.
Exactly. Think of it as AI augmenting our capabilities, freeing us from mundane tasks, and allowing us to focus on things that require, well, uniquely human skills.
Okay, that makes sense. But, even if we figure out the whole robot-human work thing, there's still the question of, like, what happens if this AGI gets too smart? Like, what if it decides it doesn't need us anymore?
That's the classic AI takeover scenario, right? The thing is, we're a long way from that. Right now, we're talking about tools. Incredibly powerful tools, but tools nonetheless. How they're developed and used ultimately depends on, well, us.
So it's less about stopping AI from becoming evil and more about making sure we develop it responsibly and ethically.
Exactly. We need to consider the potential consequences of AGI every step of the way, set clear guidelines, safeguards, all that stuff.
Right, because accidentally creating a super intelligent AI overlord probably wouldn't end well for anyone.
Probably not. But, even if we avoid the whole dystopian robot takeover scenario, there's still the question of the global AI race. What happens if one country gets to AGI first?
Yeah, good point. Does that give them like a super advantage over everyone else?
Potentially, yeah. Imagine a country with access to AI that can, analyze global markets, predict geopolitical shifts, maybe even accelerate scientific breakthroughs.
Okay, now that sounds kind of scary. But wait, didn't you say Stargate isn't a government project? If it's private companies leading the charge, does that change things?
Definitely adds another layer of complexity. Because then it becomes a question of who controls this technology, how is it regulated, and who ultimately benefits from it.
Right, right. So even if Stargate does manage to create AGI, there's still the whole challenge of figuring out how to manage it on, like, a global scale.
Exactly. And that's a conversation that needs to happen sooner rather than later. It's not just about winning the race to AGI, but making sure that everyone benefits from it.
Man, this whole thing is starting to sound like a giant ethical and logistical puzzle.
It kind of is. We're stepping into uncharted territory here.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so fascinating, right? We're on the verge of a technological revolution unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it. But, amidst all this talk about super intelligent AI and global races, I keep coming back to one question. What does AGI actually mean for, everyday people?
That's the ultimate question, isn't it? And honestly, it's still too early to say with any certainty. The potential applications are so vast and varied, it's like trying to predict the weather a year from now.
So we're basically diving headfirst into the unknown. Exciting and terrifying, all at the same time.
Pretty much. But hey, maybe that's part of the adventure, right?
I guess so. So, before we get too lost in the existential dread of it all, maybe we should zoom in a little and explore some of the ways AGI could actually impact our lives, in a more concrete way. Okay, so let's pretend we're living in a world where this whole AGI thing is actually happening. Like, it's not just a sci-fi concept anymore. What does that even look like for regular people?
Well, it could impact pretty much everything, right? But let's start with healthcare, for example.
Healthcare, yeah.
Imagine personalized medicine tailored to your specific DNA, or AI diagnostic tools that can detect diseases super early. Maybe even robotic surgeons that are way more precise than any human doctor.
Whoa, robot surgeons. Okay, now that's kind of freaky, but also cool.
Right. It's definitely a game changer. But healthcare is just one area, right? Think about work.
Yeah, work. That's a big one.
I mean, AGI could automate a ton of jobs. Everything from data entry to customer service. Heck, even more complex stuff like financial analysis or legal research.
Okay, so basically, robots are going to take all our jobs. Got it.
Yeah.
Time to start prepping for the apocalypse, I guess.
Hold on. It's not all doom and gloom, right? While some jobs will definitely change, there will also be tons of new ones created. We'll need people to design, build, and manage all these AI systems. Plus, whole new industries will pop up that we can't even imagine yet.
Okay, that's a little less scary. But still, it feels like a lot to adapt to.
It is. But think of it this way. It's not about humans versus robots. It's more about humans and robots working together.
So a team effort.
Exactly. We can leverage AI to, free us from those boring, repetitive tasks.
Hmm.
That way we can focus on stuff that requires, that special human touch, creativity, critical thinking, all that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. But still, even if we figure out the whole job thing, there's got to be some downsides to all this, right? It's not all going to be sunshine and robots making us coffee.
Of course not. Look, anytime you have this kind of massive technological shift, there's going to be disruption. We'll need to adapt, learn new skills, maybe even rethink like our entire societal structures.
So it's not just about the tech itself. It's about how we, like, as a society, choose to use it and how we prepare for the changes it brings.
Exactly. AGI is a tool, right?
Hmm.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. The future we end up with depends on the choices we make right now.
Whoa, okay. Deep thoughts. So basically, the fate of humanity rests on how well we handle this whole AGI thing. No pressure, right?
Well, yeah, kind of. But hey, at least it's an exciting challenge, right?
I guess so. So I think we've covered a lot of ground here, from this crazy Stargate project to, the potential impacts of AGI on, well, everything. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Definitely. But the main takeaway, I think, is that we're on the cusp of something huge, something that has the potential to reshape our world in ways we can't even fully grasp yet.
Yeah, that's for sure. And whether it ends up being like a utopia or a dystopia, well, that's still up in the air.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a wild ride. Anyway, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Hope you enjoyed this little glimpse into the future of AI and maybe learned a thing or two along the way.